Good morning, Mike from the rural Montana family. Today we are going to put this 2013 Tesla Model S with over 200,000 miles to work. We need feed for the animals. Let's go! This morning we gotta get feed. It's not too bad out. It's showing 21 degrees here. That's about right. It's almost 20 minutes till 9 in the morning, and well, we're on our way out of the valley. We charged up to almost 100%. Shows about, oh, now it dropped to 96. I think when we actually started it was at 98. And you can see over here we got some regen restriction. Even though it was actually charging and preconditioning this morning, it is cold enough that the battery pack still hasn't warmed up to the point where it can accept full regen. So we did reset the trip A, and since we played around a little bit after charging, there's one more mile since last charge. But basically trip A is what we're looking at today, and I expect our consumption to be extremely high, above 550 watt hours per mile with the trailer we're pulling. Our snowmobile trailer, which is a little wider than the car because it's a full width, maximum legal width for trailers. So, and we put that board on the front, and that is just kind of like pulling a wall. So we won't be very efficient here on this trip. So first we're going to town, which is about 30 miles. We're actually going past the turnoff. Let me bring this up here. So, which is actually past the turnoff of Highway 93 that we need to take to get to the feed store. The feed store is actually 60 miles away. And we'll be making a little detour. We'll be going to town, which is about a 14-mile detour. So we're going 7 miles out of the way to the Supercharger, and we'll fully charge again in town before we go on to the feed store. Wow, plow trucks are out this morning. And actually, look at this. Here is the grader. They got the grader out this morning. Since the plow truck sometimes doesn't get the full width off the road, doesn't know exactly where the edge is, and doesn't risk it to go over the edge. So then the road gets a little narrow over time, and it can get really bumpy too with sometimes the warm and cold temperatures. Let's see if we can go past them here. There we go, no problem. So yeah, they're widening the road nicely, which is perfect. Anyway, we still got a little snow, so with these road conditions that won't help either. And so yeah, we're 60 miles to the feed store. at over half a kilowatt hour per mile, our range will be decreasing very quickly here as we go. And we also have to gain elevation, so yep, it will be an interesting trip, but I want to play it safe, so driving to town first and getting it back up to almost 100%, and then we drive 7 miles back to Highway 93 and start going up the hill. I think from the Supercharger it is about 40 miles to the feed store, and it's out in well, almost no man's land, so there's definitely no charging stations and there is not many homes or anything out there, so we'd rather have enough charge. And once we load up, I think it's 800 pounds of feed onto the trailer, well, consumption will increase even more. We'll have more wind resistance plus the weight, so well, will be interesting. I made it to the interstate, and here that is a good dry road, which is helpful, but we're going about 65 miles an hour, and that is not helpful with range. we're about a good, what, 8.4 or 5 miles into the trip here, and we already used 4.2 kilowatt hours, so we're right around 500 watt hours per mile at this point, and it is increasing because now that we're going 65, yeah, that will take a little more juice. So still temperature here shows 23 degrees. It's a little bit warmer coming out of the valley out here, and so yeah, we gotta go about another 20 miles to the Supercharger, and I'm going to use the navigation so it will precondition, so that we then can hopefully charge a little bit faster. But these 2013s, those classic Teslas, they just don't charge fast anyway, so they're super slow compared to a newer one, the Model 3, a Model Y, or the newer generations of Model S and X. So these classics are slow, but what the heck, it's free. So we'll take it. 600 watt hours per mile. Yoo-hoo! And you thought cold temperatures are range killers, huh? Add a trailer to that and that is a real range killer. Interstate here in Missoula to get to the Supercharger, and it started preconditioning very late, but it did some. It says all 6 stalls are available here at the Supercharger, which is a good thing because Superchargers and trailers don't mix in most cases. Unfortunately, most Superchargers are back in, which means you can't have a trailer behind you. And so here that's the same thing, all 6 are back in, but hopefully I can pull up sideways and use the very first charger at the one end, and that should hopefully leave at least one charger open at the other end, so in case a second car shows up, they could charge there. But well, not sure if that's gonna work out or not. We'll see. Okay, looks like that's pretty good here. I wonder if I could actually back in and use 1A, and that would leave almost all chargers open. Not sure if that works. Guess I can try. I gotta go see if it works or not. Look at this. This is precision work. I mean, I'm backed into the snow pile there a little bit, but I was able to plug in here on 1A, and so that makes these here blocked, 1B and 2A, but two more cars can come and charge on 2B and then 3A or 3B without any power limitations, and they can all both get 150 kilowatts, and even a third car could pull in, but then they would have to share. But yeah, this worked out pretty good, makes me happy. Don't have to unhook the trailer, and so yeah. At this charger, by the way, this is the Best Western over here. There's a Starbucks a little ways over that way right there. Within walking distance is a pizzeria where you can get some pizza, and right over here where that Cisco truck is, that is the gas station with the convenience store. So not a bad location here. Not sure how long I will have to hang out. Let's go look what it says in here. I got the limit set to 100%, and we are at 72 right now. And so what does it say here? It says their time remaining 40 minutes to get to 100%. So, well, I wish it wouldn't be that long, but as I said, these classic Model S's, they charge really slow. You can see there it shows 28 kilowatts. That's it. That is almost like at home. No, not really. It's about 3 times what I get at home. So not too terrible, but still it takes a long time to 100%. Maybe we can actually, let's close the door here. Let's see here. Navigate to Dixon feed. Let's see, let's pull this away. Oh heck, today it doesn't find it. What the heck? Dixon feeds down here, that's where we're going. Let's see what it says right now. So it thinks we can make it there already and get there with 53%. So it thinks we're only using 20%. Well, it is wrong. So first we're over here right now. We came from way out that way, so we came in past that and came here. So we got to go back here, and then we got to go up here, and to Evero, this goes up into the mountain right there. So this goes up, 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 and then it kind of goes flattish all the way to Dixon. But this hill right here, this is yeah, this is quite a huge elevation gain. It's pretty steep, several miles long, and I wonder what the consumption will be. I guess 800 watt hours per mile or something like that, probably going up the hill. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we're not gonna make it with just about 20% there. We've been using, let's see, trips. We're averaging 606 watt hours per mile right now, so yeah. So we'll see. I'm gonna play it safe. Going to charge up, yeah, close to 100%. I'm not gonna wait to make it to 100% because it will start balancing the battery pack, and I don't really care about that right now. So we're probably gonna be about 97, 98%, maybe even 99, and then we get going. It is going extra slow, 8 kilowatts. Gosh darn it. We are at 96%, and yeah, I don't want to wait anymore. This is going so super slow. This will take forever and then some. So let's look at the navigation. The navigation still thinks we will get there with 77%. That would be using 20%. And the navigation is dreaming. We had 600 watt hours per mile. So I at least expect that, if not some more. And so yeah, at 100%, if I got, let's say I got about, I don't know, 10% degradation roughly. Well, let's say I got 75 kilowatt hours available at 100%, or maybe at 97%, whatever. And I would use an average of 750 watt hours per mile. That would give me 100 miles range from 100 to 0. So we got 80 miles to go. Obviously, we have a little downhill on the way back. That may help with regen. And if I have to, well, I can go slower. I guess I can always go slower on the way back with the load on it and hopefully save some. So, but I think it's time to get going. Because yeah, this is extra slow at 8 kilowatt. That is less than what I get at home on the level 2. But actually at home it would also only charge at 8 kilowatt at this point. It would actually throttle it there too. That has nothing to do with being on a DC fast charger or a level 2 charger. This is the car requesting only 8 kilowatts. So I think I'm gonna unplug and we get going. He's doing, but they're not going, so I guess we are. Got plenty of power, so that's not the problem. It's just the power comes at a cost of these kilowatt hours here. Let's set it back to 65. Gotta drive about 7 miles, and then we take off on Highway 93 North, and we'll see how it goes going up the hill there. It'll be only a couple miles, and then it will start going uphill. We are starting to go up. We're looking at the hill right here. Whoa, you can go fast, got no load. So it is a 70 mile an hour speed limit here, 65 miles an hour for trucks. and I have the cruise set at 55. So we'll see how that goes. The navigation had a 20% difference while we were at the Supercharger. We started at I think 97% in the meantime. So arrival dropped, it showed 77%, I believe, when I left. Now it's down to 72% estimated arrival. So the difference between the state of charge that we had and the estimated state of charge at arrival already dropped. Looking at the trips, we are going up the hill here, and currently, since last charge, we are using 676 watt-hours per mile. For the whole trip, we're averaging 627 watt-hours per mile. So currently we're using quite a lot to make it up this hill here, and we're only going 55. And yep, it's up to 682 watt-hours per mile. It did flatten out a little bit here, but it's still going uphill, and it will be going uphill for a little bit longer. 683. It climbed up a little bit. We got another little steeper climb coming right up here, and then we should be up there. So yeah, since I'm only going 55, that certainly helped to conserve some energy. If I would have done this at 65, we would have shot way above 700 for sure. So, but we're doing pretty good. It's 686 watt-hours per mile right now since last charge. That's a relatively short distance, 690. So we're pretty high in consumption at this point. 691, and it's gonna flatten out up here, so I would assume this will drop some. The average for the whole trip so far that we drove 38 miles is 633, so not low. Right now we're at 692, and now it's dropping to 691 since last charge. So up here we should do better. It keeps dropping, 688. So from here on it's relatively flat all the way. It's got a few ups and downs. It has a little bit of elevation gain overall still, but I think we should be able to stay under 700, at least if I only go 55. But again, the speed limit here is 70 miles an hour. And so yeah, I'm going a little slow for most of the traffic here, but it is what it is. Cruising along at 55 miles an hour, and our average consumption since last charge dropped down to 536, so we're doing pretty good right now. The average consumption for the entire trip is still at 575, so actually we're more efficient now, and that is just due to only going 55, while before we were going 65. Another advantage of going 55 is that the trailer doesn't rattle as much back there. These single axle trailers with nothing on it have no tongue weight, so they rattle around and bounce around quite a bit, and going a little bit slower here helps with that too. So yeah, we're doing great here in regards to consumption, and actually 55 miles an hour is not a bad speed with the trailer. Here in Montana we can go the full speed limit, whatever it is, with the trailer. In most or in many other states you can't do that. In many other places around the world the speed limit is actually 80 kilometers an hour with a trailer. That is about 50 miles an hour, and we're going 55 right now, so I think we're doing pretty good. I'm actually happy to see that our consumption keeps dropping. So we're going down here, especially since last charge, as we're not driving as fast. That is actually pretty decent. We're now 517. We're going down towards 500, and it's going pretty flat from here on. I think there's a little uphill, and interesting will be once we put the load on what it does then. Killer. So we've been going 55 miles an hour average basically since the Supercharger, and we can see the consumption there is 474. For the whole trip the consumption is 529 right there. So why? Because we were going 65 in the beginning, and just going 10 miles an hour slower makes quite a difference in consumption. Then here the navigation says now 67% arrival. We left at 97 and it said 77% state of charge at arrival. That dropped 10% because well, we're towing a trailer and the car doesn't really know that and didn't really calculate for that. On top of that, we've been going below the speed limit. The car actually calculates this based on the speed limit. The speed limit is 70 miles an hour. We were only going 55, and so we were going 15 miles per hour slower than the speed limit, and still this dropped. So if you're towing a trailer, account for that. That's why I made this calculation real quick before we left, just to make sure we definitely have enough to make it. And so we're about to arrive, and I don't know if you can see that down there, 69% right now, and we got what, 3 miles to go, so we're basically there. So yeah, we should arrive with 67, maybe 68% there, no problem. And well, then we'll load up, and then it becomes interesting again on the way back. are about to arrive, and our state of charge right now shows 67%. So that is about right. We did 469 watt hours per mile average since last charge, and 522 watt hours per mile for the whole trip. So I'm hoping it's not too icy here, so I can make it back up the hill after loading up. It is relatively icy, but hopefully we can make this. So we'll get loaded and well, get going again. Get out of the way, doggy. Oh shit. Let the fun begin. We're loaded up. It was super slick down there. They didn't want me to film any. But they were all staring at me when I was starting to pull up, and it spun out right away. I backed up just a foot or two and started over again. It would spin out again. But I just stayed on it, and Tesla's traction control, along with the good tires that I have here, those Bridgestone Blizzaks. Oh, we were just kind of going slowly gaining speed. It was slight uphill, and we made it. No big deal. So people kind of look funny when you show up with an electric car like that and go buy pig feet. So, but yeah, no big deal. I can feel we have a little more weight. We have a little tongue weight added. And so it will be interesting to see. So right now, let's see where we are on the trip. So the current trip right now, we're at 737 watt hours per mile. So, and we only gone up to 40 miles an hour so far. But also we had to make it up the hill there and stuff, and the acceleration is in it. And we got well, we got we got almost 1,000 pounds of feedback there, so got quite some weight added to it. And we'll see how this goes. So now we can look at the current trip. We can look at the average since we charged at the Supercharger and the total for the whole trip, and we'll see how that goes. It shows right now 65%. So we definitely can make it back to the Supercharger. We may be able to make it home. So we'll see. But for right now, we'll just drive and enjoy the beautiful weather. percent. We're dropping fast, only going 55, same as on the way up here, but almost 1,000 pounds extra weight back there eats away on that range. So this is the current trip, and we are at 669 watt-hours per mile, and it is climbing. It's been steadily climbing, as you can see there. So that weight, it adds a lot, and it may also have some aerodynamics to it because it sticks above the wall, but definitely the weight adds to it. We average now, since we charged, 538 watt-hours per mile, so that's still decent. And for the whole trip we're at 559 watt-hours per mile. So at least for the entire trip we're still under 600, but here we're climbing. And we're going pretty much flat out at this point. There may be a little bit incline here and there, but yeah, 22 miles so far, basically going flat out, and this is going up and up and up. So good thing we charged to where we did to, because this way we definitely can make it back to the Supercharger. And so we'll see. It's we're going uphill right now a little bit here, so you can see how fast that is climbing there. And I don't know if you can see this here, the sun shining directly into the camera. It's not a huge uphill, it's just a slight bit going uphill, not much at all, but right there, that is climbing pretty quick. So and we're already at 690. So soon we'll come to the downhill part, and then we'll have regen, and we'll see what that does. To come to the downhill stretch, and so that will be cool to see some regen. The highest I've seen was 710. It's now at 707, and we're still going to 55, but now there's a little bit downhill here. So this will start to make it a little bit easier. It's a little bit downhill, flatten out, and then we'll get to the steeper downhill part. So from now on, for at least the next 3 miles or so, we should be doing great. The real downhill is about to start. We already dropped to 698, so we're under 700. And so yep, it's starting to go downhill from here on, relatively steep. So we should be going green here shortly. Let's see, it's dropping. There we go. It's just not quite making it, is it? Okay, we're going steeper right here. There we go. We get a little bit, but we don't get as much as I thought maybe we would. Interesting. It still takes a lot of energy to pull this sucker downhill. So this was a little bit of a drop here. Now it's kind of going a little flattish. It's still dropping, but it sure doesn't show in the power consumption there. I mean, it's a lot less than going straight out with this load, but I expected it to be in regen at this point, but that's not the case. So let's see here, we're kind of flatty-ish right now. So going for the 55, everybody's passing. I mean, it's 70. So, and so now we're going downhill again here. So we definitely should get some regen here, I would expect. There we go. Okay, now we got some decent regen going a little bit there, huh? Okay, that is good, but still not as much as I thought we could push. I thought this would max out the regen, push pretty hard, but not so. And it's still going downhill. Well, at least we're still having regen. And so far so good. Still decent regen there, but we're coming about down to the flats here. It's not much further, and down there it's flat again. So let's see here, regen's gonna disappear here shortly. I won't take much longer at all, and it's gonna be gone here. We're on the flat, and yep, there we go. Now let's look here real quick. Well, we came down to 639. So at least we brought it down closer to the 600, but yeah, I was hoping for even a bigger drop down to maybe more into the 500 something, but that's not the case. So now we're kind of going flat out again. Still a little bit downhill-ish, so consumption is not too terrible yet, but I will start to climb up here soon. We also have to make it up the hill towards the interstate, and then we definitely will go up again. But yeah, not as much regen as I thought. Not as good of a average consumption there as I thought. I really thought we would drop below 5 or below 600, but no, not the case. So right now we're still dropping a little, but I don't think we'll make it under 600 because it's gonna start going a little uphill-ish again. So I don't know. This is probably the lowest that I'm gonna see here, because we are going uphill here shortly up towards the interstate. We are down to 33% at this point. The navigation says I could make it home with like 20-some% or whatever. No, 14%. It's about 20 miles. But I got my doubts. So, yep. I think I'm going back to the Supercharger and put some juice in. We probably could make it. I definitely would have to go slower, or not any faster than 55 anyway. So, but yeah, juice is free at the Supercharger. We don't have to pay for that. This car has free supercharging for life. So I think I'm just gonna go there, put, I don't know, 20 or 30% in, and then drive home. I think that is the way to go, so that I don't get completely discharged to home, because I don't know, at home we gotta figure out where to go with the trailer. Question is if I can make it up the driveway. Our driveway still has lots of snow and ice too, so yeah, lots of unknowns. So I'd rather have a little extra charge when I get home, and so let's go supercharge. this is interesting. So it dropped down to 614. Now it goes up because we're going uphill, but it dropped down to 614 and I'm going 65. And I've been going 65 for about 6 miles or so on the interstate here. I would have thought this would go way up as soon as I go 65, but that's not the case. Huh, that is kind of interesting. So we're now showing there 615. It drops immediately as soon as regen kicks in, getting off here at the exit towards the supercharger. With an average of 609 on this trip, almost dropped under 600. That was 41 miles now. The average for the trip from the supercharger back to the supercharger is 539, and the average for the whole trip, which is now 108 miles, is 555 watt-hours per mile. And we are down at 27%, and the temperature's been around freezing, going up and down a little bit. Actually, it never came up to freezing. It was 31 was the highest I've seen. So yeah, now we're charging, and this time we're going a little faster speed. We got 82 kilowatts, but still it says there 1 hour 5 minutes remaining. Wow, the fans just came on. So towing this load definitely put a little strain on this car. Let's go look at this load anyway. What we got back here, gotta go around the supercharger here. So what we have here is this big bag is pig feed. That's 805 pounds. I looked it up on the receipt. And then we got these three 50-pound bags. Those are chicken feed. And so the big bag is placed a little further back. Let's go to the other side here so you can see that. So it sits almost on the axle there a little bit. So that is, so we put some weight on the axle here, but also some weight on the tongue up front. If we go too far back with the bag, then the trailer doesn't have any tongue weight, so then the front will keep coming up, and we don't want that. We want weight down, but not too much. We can have about, I think we can have a max of 300 pounds. And if you look at the gap right here between the tire and the body, we only got about 1 inch or so, while up here we got about 3 inches. So we definitely put weight onto the back end there. And so I think right now we're probably at about 250 pounds, maybe a little higher. But so we couldn't have any more tongue weight at this point. That wouldn't be good. If I wanted some less tongue weight, I could actually move those bags from here to back there, and that would take some weight off. So that may be something I could do. Overall, it's been driving good like that though, and haven't had any issues. I mean, it's going well, I think, except for the high consumption. But we made it, so that is definitely a good thing. And driving this instead of the truck saves a lot of money. My fuel cost is gonna be like a few dollars from charging at home. Charging here doesn't cost anything. If I would have driven the truck, that would cost me probably $100 some for this little bit. So definitely well worth towing. And now that this is actually the first time now that I done this, I know a little bit better what's what, and so maybe next time we can improve on that, and I don't know, potentially get a different trailer, as this one is wider than the car. So you can see this, it's quite a bit wider. Also, this front wall is literally like pulling a wall through the air, and that is really tough. Without that, we may actually get better efficiency, so that may be another thing to consider. A smaller trailer that fits better behind the car, something, and we probably could do much better. But this is the trailer we had, so this is the trailer we used. All right, well, I got a little time here, going bathroom, hanging out, and then drive home. And on the way home, I might do 65 just to see how bad it gets. I gotta see. Once I get back on the interstate, I gotta make that decision. If I do 65 miles an hour, then it would be comparable to driving here. If I just go 55, it's not really comparable, since yeah, I'm going 10 miles an hour slower, but we'll see. 82%, and well, we're only going at 28 or 29 kilowatt hours there, so I think I'm gonna be blasting home. So let's unplug. Interstate, we are at 81%. It says we get home with 60%, which I got my doubts about that. The car should know by now that we have a much higher consumption, but I'm not sure if the navigation takes this into account or not, so we'll find out. So there's a 21% difference between the current state of charge and the estimated arrival state of charge at home. So also I gotta watch out here. I'm almost going 70. I want to go 65 just as I did on the way in without the load. I want to do 65 now on the way back and see how that does. Excuse me, got something in my throat there. So currently we are at 866 watt-hours per mile. Well, we just accelerated getting up onto the interstate, and then I went up to 70 instead of 65. So this is slowly dropping now. The average for the total trip is now 561 watt-hours per mile, and the total trip so far is 111 miles. So we'll see how this works going home, but we should not have a problem making it at all with 80%. Just got off the interstate and actually just dropped from 631 to 626 because we're going downhill, and we got regen going. So yeah, But yeah, about 630 was watt hours per mile was what we had on the interstate average for the 21 miles we drove at 65 miles an hour. That is not too bad, but obviously not great. But so now that we're driving a little bit slower back into the valley, this will drop a little more, and we'll see how low we can get that here in the next we got about 7 miles to go or so. Back home. So the current trip here shows 575 watt hours per mile. So that is from the supercharger to home. That was 27 miles. So that's not too terrible, considering we were going 65 on the interstate. So, and then here the total trip was 136 miles at 559 watt hours per mile average. So that's not too bad. It's kind of interesting that this seems relatively low compared to that. I guess that is because the last about 7 miles or so, the speed limit is 35 miles per hour. That brought it down quite a bit, I guess. But yeah, then down here, this is, I don't know, trip B. I don't know when I reset that, but it's 3,300 some miles. But anyway, that average is 388, and so today's average is 559, which means towing this trailer did not cut the range in half. So we're actually doing better than that. And so it is still 30 degrees and we are at 58%. So not too bad overall. Could be much worse, I think. Now the tough work starts. Gotta unload all this, and the big bag goes up the hill to where the pig is, and we got still about a foot of snow, so we'll see if the tractor can make it, hopefully. And the 3 little bags, they just go over to the chicken coop, so no big deal. But the big one will be tough this time of the year. But anyway, so went the time towing. We were below freezing the whole time. The trailer, I mean, this wall right there doesn't make it any easier. The trailer is wider than the car. That doesn't help. And then we added the load here. So we got about 955 pounds added onto it. And it seems like the added load did definitely affect our consumption, but it wasn't too terrible. It really depends if you have uphills or downhills or what's going on. So whenever it went uphill, we immediately could see the watt hours per mile go up. And going downhill, it didn't recover too much. It did relatively good on a slight long downhill, but the steep one we had, it's not like we recovered as much as I thought we would. So, but it was not cutting our range in half compared to just driving it without the trailer. So, but we were going slower probably. Without the trailer, we would go faster. I mean, on the interstate, we would go 75, 80. So now we were going 65 on the interstate, 55 on the other highways. Even though the interstate was 80, the other highways was 70. So we were definitely going slower. And if we would have kept the speeds the same as without the trailer, then it probably would have cut the range in half, I guess. So, but it depends totally on what kind of trailer you tow, just how you drive, all these things. There's so many factors going into this. So you just have to experiment with it when you get a trailer and tow and see how that works for you with your trailer and how you drive and so on and so forth. So for us, we will keep using this trailer to take the garbage to the landfill, to take the recycling to town, probably pick up straw bales and wood shavings for our critters here. We'll pick those up too with this trailer instead of driving the truck, because that stuff is not super heavy. But we can't put straw bales in the car, or the bales of wood shavings don't really go in the car either. So, but that is all just going to town and back. So we're just talking about 60, maybe 70 miles or so. And so we could do that on a full charge from here without having to supercharge in town at all. So yeah, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us a thumbs up. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. And maybe if you're new to the channel, go back and check out some of our older videos. These older videos have lots and lots of information in them that may not come up in a newer video again, but that information is still current and valid. So go check out the older videos too. There's lots of good stuff there. Also, go down below in the description and click on our link to the Redbubble store that we have. We got some EV inspired merch there, so go check that out. Maybe you'll find something you'd like. In any event, thank you for watching. Goodbye.